The coffee cup icon is great because one of the things that I do in my virtual classes, if I'm teaching something that's not Webex training, I might ask you to put your virtual coffee cup up if you have to take a break. Because in the adult learning environment, we don't always, hey, but can I go to the restroom, or I need to go in the kitchen, or I need to do this. I don't know when you've left. So that's a great way that you can indicate to me that you have stepped away. Now, I want to remind everybody, I've got a lot of people in today's session, so I might not be answering your questions right away, but I will periodically pause and try to get to some. All righty. So yeah, the iPhone might look a little bit different. So if you're here, I kind of teach and design this class based on joining on your computer. If you can, great. If not, yes, the mobile app does have a few limitations there as to what we have on our computer. All right, so that's your feedback bar that you have there. And then the next thing, of course, is you have your chat panel. And I have it set to where you can send a chat to everybody. And one of the things that I always like to have everybody do is tell us where you're located. Where are you sitting in the world right now? I know you're sitting at home. This is probably, I don't know, I'm hoping it's the first and last time. Okay. There, oh my goodness, I can't even keep up. It's so fast and crazy right now. Looks like we're a little bit worldwide. So for some of us, it's a bit late. For some of us, we are just getting started over here on the West Coast. Go Bucks. All right. Now, I'll talk about how I'm getting my slides in this window a little bit later. Let's first of all talk about how we can actually get here. What makes the Webex training service different when it comes to scheduling sessions? And one of the big things that makes it different is you might want to use registration, because when we have online sessions, classes, we sometimes want people to register to come to them. But we don't have to use registration. We can always say, hey, I'm having a great training session. Here's the link. I'll see you there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Webex training scheduler. Now, if you're bored one day, there's a recording out here of a 1-hour class I teach on the scheduler. I'm not going to go into every single field in this class, but I want to really point out to you some unique features about the scheduler that you might like. So here we go. Webex training down here. I'm going to click on Webex training and I'm going to click right here, schedule a meeting. So one of the things that I like about scheduling my training sessions, and I'll go ahead and give it a name, I'll just be boring and I'll call it sample session, is if I need to charge you to come to it, I can. Now, e-commerce needs to be turned on by your site administrator, but it allows you to attach a fee for your course. And when people are coming to a course that there is a fee for, they have to register and they have to provide some form of payment. You can use PayPal, you can use your credit card, all that good stuff. Integrated audio, just like you have with your Webex meetings. One of the things that you might like about Webex training is you can actually have people muted upon entry in the scheduling process. So as people join, they're automatically muted. Coming down a little bit more, I want to take your attention to these little radio buttons right. Oh boy, that came out really crazy. Let's make it a little bit prettier. See, I'm picky when it comes to my design here. So these radio buttons right there. This is what makes Webex training unique. So let's say I teach a class on Excel, and I teach the same class on Excel all the time. That's a single session class. I'm not too sure when I'm going to have it again. What if I teach the same Excel class? We'll say April 5th. So we'll make it April 5th. I'm going to make it a recurring session. It's going to be every Sunday for the next 20 Sundays. So if you come to the session this Sunday and the next Sunday and the next Sunday, it's the same thing. It's a recurring single session class. It's the same thing, but I want to follow the pattern of having it on the same day and the same time for the next week. Then The other feature you have in Webex Training is something called a multiple session course. When some of us take what we deliver face to face, we need to cut it down a little bit because an 8-hour face to face training is a different beast in a virtual environment. I might want to take that 8-hour face to face session and I might want to make it 2 hours every week. So every Sunday, I'm going to see you for 2 hours. I can do my math. It's an 8-hour session, 4 sessions. All right, 2 hours each. So I will see you every Sunday for the next 4 Sundays. A multiple session course means you're doing this in multiple parts. So if you sign up for one or if I invite you to one without registration, I expect to see you in all of them. And then you also have irregular sessions. So this kind of follows recurring single sessions. It's the same class, but instead of me really having to stick to a pattern like every Sunday at 5 o'clock for the next 10 Sundays, maybe I want to do my first Excel Part 1 class on April 4th, and we'll do that one at 9 a.m. Now, without having to finish scheduling, maybe I want to go ahead and add another one. And we'll do that one, maybe we'll do this one on April 6th, and this one will be at 2 p.m. So it allows me to mix up the dates and times without being hard-coded here to this pattern of every Sunday. So that's what you have with Webex Training. The other thing that you might have with Webex Training is something called the in-session. Oh, and let me get rid of this guy right here. This is my little Snagit program, and sometimes it gets in the way. If your organization has lab administrators that are downloading something to on-site lab computers, this is where you can reserve them. And hands-on lab means that in a live training session like this one, if I had reserved lab computers, I can connect you to these remote computers during our live session. I actually teach a class. It's every quarter because it's not as popular on what hands-on lab is. You can connect to a lab computer. You can kind of get a better idea of how it works. And if you want to see it sooner, we've got a recording of all of our classes. Next thing, registration is there. Now you can use registration with Webex meetings if you've kind of perused through that scheduler, but with Webex Training, you can turn on registration and you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to adding things to your form or customizing your own questions. Text box, open-ended responses. Checkbox, pick more than one option. Radio buttons, pick one option. Drop-down list, pick one option. So the registration form can be customized, and then you can set things like a password, a close date on it. How many people do you want to allow to have approved registrations to come to this session, and do you want to allow them to cancel? So registration, customized registration is an option here. You'll also maybe have already noticed in the live session, there's something called panelists. And panelists could be your aides, subject matter experts, people on your team that are going to assist you in some way in the training. This is where you can invite them ahead of time. And then coming down a little bit further, I also will introduce to you today the concept of breakouts. You can use them ad hoc whenever you want to in a Webex session without scheduling them here. But once you understand them better and start using them more, you might want to start telling Webex Training, hey, I know how many breakouts I want to have and I know how many people I want to put in them. Breakout sessions are essentially me being able to break you all off into small groups for a small group activity where you can only hear one another. All of the emails that go out with Webex Training can be customized here. You can add an agenda, you can add a description, you can attach a document to the session information. It doesn't come in the form of an attachment. It comes in the form as something they can click on when they click on the session information link. There's tests that can be added. This is, again, another class. We've got classes on breakouts. We've got classes on hands-on lab. This overview is to introduce to you what Training Center could have the potential of doing. And at the bottom, if you put a lot of work into your scheduling, you can always save it as a template. That way, you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you schedule a session. And at the very top is where you're going to find a list of all of your templates. So that is the training scheduler, and that's what it has to offer. So let me see if there's any questions about what we've covered so far. Nope, the training does not. The training does not automatically shut off. So if you go overtime, you go overtime. You don't need to worry about sessions ending on you. Can you view multiple screens using Hands-on Lab? So if you're using Hands-on Lab, you can, as the host of the session, hop onto the different lab computers one at a time, but there isn't a picture way of seeing what's going on all of those computers at the same time. I'll show you where the recorded sessions are. I've got that at the very end of the session. The answer for customized form will be available in the report at the end. Yes, you can pull registration reports, Christina, and you can also get the registration data in your attendance report, and I'll show you where to do that. Derek, you're awesome. Thanks for your help. Is this where you add moderator? Yes, Lori. So when you invite presenters, it will invite them as panelists so they can assist you. And let's see, is there video? No video in breakouts at this time, Rebecca. There's only audio. How did I change between screen? I'll get to sharing in a second here. Mobile limitations on breakouts. There shouldn't be any mobile limitations on breakouts, Stacy. Let me put a link in here. And I know it's just kind of an overall page, but help.webex.com. Put mobile device limitations. There's also cross-platform matrix. The cross-platform matrix is great at telling you if I'm on this device or this browser or in this service, what are those limitations? It's a really resourceful page. There's polling as well. If I have a template, it doesn't save the list of attendees. No. Can panelists hop into breakouts? Yes. Sometimes I cannot tell if they answered with an X, so can I remove and see a new answer? Deborah, so where all of you have these little feedback buttons, I have a clear option, but I clear everybody's and not just one. Sorry if this has been answered. I had connection issues. Is there going to be a location on what I missed? Yes, Leo, all of our trainings are recorded. Not this one, but we have a recorded version of it. Can a session, personal rooms or WebEx meetings, Steve? They are not training sessions. So when you share your personal meeting room, it's a WebEx meeting. All right. Yes, panelists can create breakouts. Come to the breakout course for that. Can WebEx Training Center be set up on our network server? You have to have WebEx training purchased in your organization, and then your organization's administrator can provision it to you. You've been trying to use breakouts, but the people are going to breakouts are not getting the second prompt for the audio. It could be dependent upon Virginia how they're connected. If they have an audio icon to the left of their name, like you see in my participant list, it should move their audio. If they're not getting a prompt, then they're probably not using integrated audio. And every training session will be a unique link. Perfect. All right, let's keep trucking here. What I want to do is I want to talk to you about some things that are unique inside your session. So we've had a little bit of fun exploring our feedback bar already, which is a way that people can give instant feedback. But there's also something in here called the Q&A panel. Now, you're going to have difficulty finding it because I intentionally turned it off. Now, first, let me tell you why I'm being mean, but then I promise I'm going to turn it on for you so you can see what it looks like. And I'll even show you how you turn it off because you might understand why I did. All right, so I have about, let me see here. Let's see how many people are in here right now. I have 111 people in this session right now, and you've got me. You're stuck with me. I'm all you've got. So for me, it's easier that my attendees put everything in the chat panel because I want to try and get to your questions, and I'm going to read them out loud and I'm going to provide a verbal response. But if I had the Q&A panel open as well, that gives me something else I have to monitor, right? I've got to look in chat to see what questions are coming in, and then I'm going to have to look in the Q&A panel to see what's coming in. So I turned it off because I only wanted one panel to monitor. But if I had some panelists in here, it would be great because then my panelists could be taking the questions, attaching answers, taking the questions, attach and answers. It's my preference. The reason why I don't use the Q&A panel only is the other attendees in the session can't see the questions coming in until I either read them out loud or someone provides a written answer to it. So sometimes you get 50 questions all the same because no one knows that someone else is asking that same question. And that's because chat is awesome. I love chat. So that's why I don't use it. I don't use it strictly by itself because I'm going to read your questions out loud anyway and provide a verbal response. And I want all of you to see some of the questions that are coming in. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to show you how I turned it off, but I'm going to turn it back on again so you can actually see how it works. So let me share my training window with you. And if any of you have to turn around and show people how to use Webex Training, the way I'm doing that is under my share menu. It's called My Session Window. It's the secret to teaching other people how to use Webex tools when you want them to see your view. So there, big secret out of the box. So under my session drop-down menu, I've got something called session options. And in here, I've got all of my features that are available. And this is where I turned off Q&A. So now let me go ahead and hit apply. Let me stop sharing my screen. Let's get here. Stop sharing my screen. And now you've got the Q&A panel. So as attendees, you can type questions in the Q&A panel. The other attendees in the session don't see the questions that are coming in. So you're not going to see those questions unless I decide to click on one and write out an answer and provide it. So the difference between using Q&A and chat when it comes to writing answers is it's threaded. I can click on your question, I could provide an answer, and then I'll get you here, Jennifer, test back. So that's how the Q&A panel works. So it's up to you how you want to use it. These are features. There's no right or wrong way on how you decide to use them. For me, I read all of my questions out loud anyway, so I don't need the Q&A panel. But if I had panelists in here, more than likely, I just keep flying through my presentation and have my panelists just addressing all of the questions. Oh, that is such a good question. So a question came in the chat panel. Is there a way to hide the names of the attendees when you ask a question? There actually is. And this is another one of those little known features because it's one of those click around, right click, and you'll find things that aren't super obvious. So let me show you how to do that because when I answered the question, so when I answered Jennifer's question, notice how we saw Jennifer's name, we saw her question, we saw my answer. So what if you want to make it anonymous? Because you know how sometimes people will maybe ask more if it's not anonymous or if it is anonymous. So let me show you real quick and then we got to keep moving. So as the host of the session, if you right click on the title bar, so I'm right clicking on the title bar, Q&A, and I'm selecting attendee options. This is where you can choose to remove the name of the attendee, the name of the panelist, or the timestamp. Now, if I click on OK, notice how I still see the names. But now let me show you back to your view. You won't see the names. And it will actually keep that setting for the next session as well. So every time I open up a training session, the names are going to be removed. It's just one of the things that it seems to remember. So there you go. Are there any features that the panelists don't have access? Panelists can't mute everybody, Rebecca. Panelists can't start breakout sessions. It's got to be a presenter. Panelists can't end a session. Panelists can't record the session. That's all host capabilities. All right, let's see. It's 9:24. So let's do this. Let's keep on going a little bit. Now, I'm going to turn off the Q&A panel. Sorry. That way we just kind of keep it all coming in the same place. But let's keep on going here. I'm going to bring you back here. If you already know sharing in Webex meetings, it's exactly the same in Webex training. The difference is the share drop-down menu in the top left menu bar where I went to show you where to share my session window. That's where you go to share your desktop, or you can share a file. Somebody asked me earlier how I brought my slides into this window. I went to share, top left, I went to file, I browsed for it, because that's what it asked me to do, almost like when you go to open up a document in Word, and whatever I selected, it opened in the window. And then if you take a look right up here, there's some backward and forward buttons showing that I'm on slide number 10. All right. I will give you your resources in just a moment here. I've got a direct resource to getting started with training. I've got the link to take additional training classes. I've got the link for all of the training class recordings, all of it. Again, another concept, we do have a class on this. There's a recording out there, the testing library. So I'm going to give you a poll before you leave. And if you've been to our classes, it's just our survey poll, and that's the polling feature. But the testing feature is a way that I could do browser-based tests that are scoreable and gradable. And they have a few more options like fill in the blanks or true false or write me an essay question answer. So the testing option is available only in Webex Training. There's also available in Webex Training, you guys have heard me mention it already, is there's breakout sessions. And breakout sessions are a way that I can take everybody in this session and just kind of bring them into their own mini training center sessions within the main one. It kind of replaces the days where we're in a classroom and I send a group of you in that corner of the room, in that corner of the room, that one, and that one. So breakouts allows me to take you and your audio, as long as you have that audio icon to the left of your name, it'll move you into a breakout session for a small group activity. If anybody here is ready to kind of get started and start playing around with it, I'll show you exactly where you go to arrange your breakouts. So under the breakout drop-down menu, you've got something called breakout session assignment. And what this does is it shows me all of the attendees that are in this class. Now you can have 100 breakouts. That's a lot. And for me as an individual, I could probably only manage 2 or maybe 4. It's nice to have panelists because they can always hop into breakouts and see how you're doing. So the way it works is you could add as many breakout sessions as you want, up to 100, and then you can kind of pick and choose who gets to go in one session, and you can also kind of pick and choose multiple people to go into another session. Once I've arranged all the breakout sessions, this start button will activate for whoever currently presenting, and we can initiate them from here. Then you get a couple of prompts: join the breakout, join the audio. Someone asked me earlier that audio didn't move over. You have to have integrated audio for audio to move into the breakouts with the person's name. So you always need to make sure that this audio icon is there and to the left of their name. So breakouts are something that you can use. Another thing that you can use, I've described it in the scheduler, is the hands-on lab feature. That's not hands-on lab, that's hands-on lab. So hands-on lab, unlike a breakout where I'm taking you and putting you sort of in your own little mini training center sessions within the main one, I'm actually sending you or letting you pick remote computers that you want to work on. So that's all integrated as well. So there's lots that you can do with Webex Training. To learn more, let me give you the resources that I keep promising. I'm going to put these in here. So I'm going to give you 4 different links in the chat panel. So when you see the computer icon next to someone's name in Webex Training, that means they're connected via computer for audio. So you're pretty much right. So what I've put in there is the Webex Training help. That's going to take you to all of the step-by-step instructions for using Webex Training. Then more training that my team delivers. Then the recordings that my team, they're just class recordings. And then I'm also providing you the ebook. So that's in there now. The other thing that I do need to do, because we are at the end time, While you're kind of mulling around and grabbing those links, I also want to get started for you. Where is it here? My survey. So there's our survey. And while you're doing that, someone asked me about how you share a whiteboard. So if you click on the share menu, when you're the presenter in your own training sessions, share menu, top left, that's where you find whiteboard. If you're a Webex meetings user, there'll be a bunch of little, and if you kind of close your eyes and imagine this is meetings, there's a bunch of little round circles that you have at the very bottom. There's a share content button in there, and the share whiteboard option is at the very bottom of that share content list. And that's all you need to do to bring in a whiteboard. But in Webex training, everything is shared via the share drop-down menu in the top left menu bar. One of the updates that you'll see, and I can't tell you when because I don't know when it's going to happen, but I have heard it's one of our priorities while we're dealing with the influx of usage. Obviously, that's priority number one. There was some updates that we were kind of working on as we go to improve and update and change things. So eventually, for those of you that like the concept of breakouts, it will be a part of Webex meetings at some point. Now, I don't know if that's going to be for every Webex meetings user. I'm not too sure yet, but it will include the ability of using video in breakout sessions. So people will be able to share their video in a breakout. So, kind of keep an eye out. We do a lot of update training. If you go out to where you sign up for our classes, on the very right side, same place, all the classes that you can sign up for, you'll see things that are called what's new and what's coming. Those are always going to show you the monthly updates of, what's happening in the near future. And they're kind of fun to attend. We do what's new and what's coming for Webex services like meetings, events, training, support, and we also do teams separately. So those are sometimes fun ones to attend. Is there a word cloud tool? I don't know. How can I download test? So first, if you are using tests, Lynette, you need to create the tests and you need to attach them to your scheduled sessions. And then you can go back, you can kind of backdate your search when you are looking for your test results. So let me show you here. This is all of our meeting tools are cloud-based. There are services, of course, that customers purchase where they can, it's called on-prem, where they do want to host the server, but what you're participating in now is cloud-based. All right, okay, hold on one second. I'm losing where I was here. For the best, okay, hold on. Let me scroll up the list here. Okay, so if you have to have people call into your session, what you'll want them to do, and this is kind of the best practice, just kind of think of asking people to do this for every single Webex meeting they join. Here's what goes wrong. People see phone numbers in their invitation and they gravitate to picking up the phone and dialing into the meeting. For whatever reason, they want to hear what's going on before they actually see what's going on. So I always compare it to, if I was doing this in a classroom, you've got to come in the room first and then we can talk. So it's just a virtual way of doing the same thing. So what you want to encourage your attendees to do, especially if you plan on having breakout sessions, we want you to join the training session first or the meeting first, and then follow the on-screen prompts to get connected to audio. And even if they have to use call in, let's say, well, I have to use call in, fine, use call in, but we need you to join the session first, because when they join, if they choose use phone, there's a drop-down menu here where they can say, I will call in. And this will give them the phone number. it will give them the access code, and it gives them this ID number. And they only get this ID number once they've joined the session, and that's what will put the telephone icon to the left of that person's name. So if they absolutely have to dial into your sessions, tell them, great, perfect, fine, but please join my session first and then choose I will call in. And as soon as they go through the prompts of joining, it will provide them the phone number, access code, and their attendee ID number. So you definitely want to go ahead and do that. All right, let's see. I'm going to just kind of leave my screen shared and go through the chat here. So whiteboard, let me close this. So whiteboard is share, whiteboard, and you've got your fun tools here, text tool. You can write on the whiteboard. As the presenter of this whiteboard, I can also save a copy of this whiteboard as a PDF in case we want to go back to it later. Pull recorded in the system. So yeah, this survey that you're all filling out right now, so what I'll do when we're done is I'm going to close it, and then I will go to File, Save, or Save as Poll Results, and I'll save it, and it will put it into Excel for me. Okay, just when you're writing on the screen using a tool within training or nope, I'm using these annotation tools here. So my slides that I have right here, I brought in by going to share file, just lets me go browse and pick the file. So then I've got these tools here, and then on the whiteboard, they're still there. And if you want your attendees to use them too, under participant, under assigned privileges, you can allow them to annotate, and that lets them use the tools as well. I'll turn it on for now, and then you can play with it when we go back. Let me leave it shared. Audio and breakouts. Daughter was practicing. She called in via the computer setting. I could hear her after we started the meeting. When you say integrated audio, okay, we covered that. Okay. Attendance list. Okay, I'll show you that in a second, Lynette. Can you send a broadcast? Yes. If people are in a breakout, you go to your breakout drop-down menu and you select broadcast message. It pops up a box. It asks you if you want to send it to all attendees or just your breakout leaders. You customize your message and it goes to all of your breakouts. The test results are found after the session's over. I'll show you where in just a moment. Options for users to participate. So participants can send chats, send questions in the Q&A. They can use feedback, and if you allow them, they can also use annotation tools like I just showed. I don't know, Rebecca. I just don't know. With everything going on, I really don't know yet. Usually what happens with updates like that is your site administrators who administrates your site, they get notifications of changes that are coming in updates, and it's up to them to kind of trickle it down to the users because sometimes they want to control the message. All right. Can the configure of Webex Training be altered to the IT folks in an organization? Yes. Kind of ish. So it depends what you want to configure. There's something called session types for your Webex admins where they can remove certain features out of the services, and then they can prescribe those session types to their end users. Can polling also provide a training summary? Polling is just for questions and providing answers. Jess, as soon as people join a breakout, the leaders will see a button kind of like this right here. As soon as you get into a breakout, the leaders will see a big share whiteboard button and they can share it, or you can have a panelist hop in, grab the presenter role and bring in a whiteboard, but you've got to do it in each one. Is there an option to have training call the person versus them? Yes. So Marika, when they join the session, what they will need to choose is they will need to choose up here the call me, and they provide their phone number. So call in is up here and call in is at the top. Okay, can you keep a breakout session open all day to allow? Sure, as long as you don't close your session, the breakout session. What you would want to do, Karen, is if you do create that type of breakout session where people can come in and out, there's this really mysterious little option down here that is critical for allowing people to join breakouts that have already started. And that is just by checking this box and checking this box, and you're stating that you're letting others join breakout sessions without invitation. So just make sure this is on if you're going to allow people in and out, but don't close your training session. Do you pre-create the polls? Where are they stored? Yep, you pre-create them and you can store them on your own computer. The people who are attending but not in the active screen, can we pull them back, send a message to all of them? Yep, so if they're in a breakout, that's your broadcast message. So if they're not in the breakout, they'll be in the main session with you. So if people don't go into a breakout, they stay in the main session, so you could use chat, but the broadcast message will catch anybody out on their breakouts. Okay, internal tool do I recommend that we can use for training evaluation form? What internal tool? I'm not too sure what you use internally. I know SurveyMonkey, if you want to use that. Maybe I'm not understanding the question. Can you approve registration? Yes. So Tim, when it comes to registrations, and let me show you guys, because I have questions about pulling reports and finding your session after it's over. So let me show you. I'm going to go to my desktop. We'll go to the training site. Let me look at chat real quick so I kind of remember. So if you are using registration, I have it set to automatically approve everybody, and you do that in the scheduling option. But if you choose not to automatically approve, you'll be able to find everybody. These are all my upcoming meetings right here. So you'll see this is today's session. So if I come in here, this will be a better option. You can click on this number and you can kind of decide on, who you want to approve and who you want to decline, but I have it on automatic approval. Reports, folks, under my Webex, under my reports, a usage report is for all of your services. You can use this for any of your services, and it will include the answers to the questions on your registration forms as well. Down here under Webex Training, this live usage report will also compare registration of people that didn't come. So the one at the top is everybody that was there. This one down here is everyone that was there and also people that registered that didn't show up. So that's where you'll find that. Or you can pull registration reports collectively for a group of sessions. So you can put in a 3-month period for the last 12 months. So you can also go back and pull registration reports to see who registered. It'll show you who came. It kind of does that cross check on who came, who didn't come, etc. So that's where you get all of your reports. How to insert video into presentation. So Michelle, there isn't a way to insert a video into a presentation and have it play in Webex Training at this time. So the preferred method is if you insert it into your presentation in PowerPoint, that's a PowerPoint thing that you can do, insert videos into PowerPoint. If you use Webex Meetings, there's something that you can actually do. Let me show you here. Let me come here. Let me go to, actually, let's go here. Start meeting. If you use Webex Meeting and you have sound in your files that you want to share, when you go to share your content, share your screen or share an application, but up here, choose Optimize for Motion and Video. This is currently in Webex Meetings. If you're in a Webex Training and you have a file that shows some sort of video, the practice is at this time, under the share menu, you're going to choose file including video. If it's a YouTube file, then I would put the link in the chat panel. But right now, there's not a way of playing videos that are embedded in PowerPoints unless you shared your desktop, and then of course the sound's only going to come through your speakers. So again, at some point we will start to see everything kind of meshing and blending together, but as it is right now, that would be the process to do that. All right, folks, I've got to get going pretty quick here. I've got another minute. If you haven't already done so, please make sure that you submit your poll. There's a submit button at the very bottom of the polling panel. You're very welcome. I'm glad I could be of service. When you can, take more classes. Those drop-in sessions, I mentioned them earlier. Drop-in sessions are just open Q&A time. They've been a little busy lately. But the way I've been running them is I'm having everyone put their question in chat, and I'm just getting to every single question as much as possible. All right, everyone. You have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. You stay safe too. Thank you so much. You've all been wonderful. Thank you for your patience with me. You guys have a great one. Don't forget to click on submit on the survey. And then when you're done, you can close out. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.